Blynd Submyshynz, where DIY bands submit songs for us to listen and react to blind. Every week, we'll bring a guest from the underground music, arts, or entertainment scene to help you sort through mountains of new music. We go in blind, so you don't have to. Blynd Submyshynz.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to today's episode of
Blynd Submyshynz.
Been listening to Yalowitz all day. Got myself all
amped up.
I'm all amped up and
Yeah.
ready to tunelessly holler into a microphone.
That's a very good album.
It's really good.
I tried to listen to it while I was working the other day. It's not the greatest album to listen to while you're trying to work.
Yeah, music to not work to. Fucking angular,
Yeah.
fucking janky, off time,
noise. Yeah, loud and just crunchy. It's so good.
What did our guest say? Is that some black metal Melvins?
Black Metal Melvins. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. One of your label mates, yet to be introduced, called you Black Metal Melvins, and I think you might not be mad at that.
I don't think so.
Especially considering the source. All right, so who is our guest today?
Who is our guest today,
Get right
Jeff?
down to it. Our guest today is none other than
Tell me.
Blind Marky Felchtone, Richard Yalowitz, Mark himself from the band Zeke.
Yes, Zeke.
Yeah, and we can talk to him about this, but we saw Zeke on their last tour when they came through the Bay Area, touring their latest album.
Yes.
Which was, 13 years since the previous release? Something like that?
Something like that. Hellbender?
Yeah, there was a big-ass gap in between those
There was a
records.
very big-ass gap in there.
So
that's what happens when you, take a break to have kids and live life.
We can ask him when he took a break for. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and listen to. Here's a little bit of Working Man off of Hellbender. You gotta love a 1 and 27-second song.
You know it. I love that not much has changed over the years.
Yeah, not much at all. Although I do have questions because
Ooh.
some things have changed.
Yeah, like the lineup.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
It's going good.
We were just listening to a little bit of Hellbender
Oh, right on.
before bringing you on. Working Man, which is very much not like the Working Man that I grew up on, the Rush staple. Very different, but also one of my all-time favorite songs.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a Rush fan?
I'm a Dungeons and Dragons period Rush fan. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I like the first album with John Rutsey. I like Fly By Night. Huge fan of Caress of Steel. I kind of like 2112. Like, I don't know, man. Twilight Zone is such a horrible song. And then But then, man, All the World's a Stage is just, man, like that, all that silver Mylar and, white bell bottoms and big platform boots. And
oh, fuck yeah.
it's to me that, it's like, it's sort of like I hear The Who, I hear tons of Led Zeppelin, I hear a little bit of Hawkwind.
Yeah.
And, I don't know.
Yeah.
How can you go wrong with that, man?
Absolutely. And it was funny because it was like they kind of looked at that time like the rest of the typical rock stars, but I think what they were actually doing was settling into their final form, which was like chill ass grandma from 1970. The dress, like the outfits were exactly right for like your cool like older aunt who sits in the corner.
Especially Getty, yeah, Getty. But yeah, and then they just turned into the police one day. And
yeah, that was a weird moment. And I think Alex Lifeson even said, like, I'm obsessed with the police right now. So sorry if we sound like the police.
Who would have ever thought that the police would have influenced Rush?
I see it.
I think it's just fucking a catastrophe.
Yeah, no, I don't like it, but it's like a power trio game recognized game situation.
Yeah, I guess, but man, I don't know. I think it's a lot of just being Canadian. Or are you guys Canadian?
No, we're from the Bay Area. Good. Did you say good?
Yeah.
We do have Canadian listeners.
No, we do. Like 3.
Well, I've got Canadian.
Yeah, Claude and Jacques and Matt with 1 T.
Man, it's like the hardest place to get into. Do you know that I thought I was gonna like bank on a Canadian tour, man, because I just kept getting like all these like letters from people and shit, and I was just like, man, if I could just get over to Canada. But like I'm not this way anymore. I have like a real job and I've got my crap together a little bit. I've got a kid that just graduated and stuff, so I'm doing all right. But like back in the day, like I had a lot of felony convictions, and dude, if you have like a parking ticket, they don't let you over the border to go into Canada. So in order to do a tour there, I had to give those guys $4,000 and then do all this, get all these signs and like all these affidavits from people and send it to, and have a meeting with the consulate to, get me approved to go through, I guess it's just a way of them, like, what's the word, like, building revenue, but, you know what I mean? But,
well, even people with no record get hassled at the border, especially in bands. If you talk to the tour bookers, they'll tell you, like, if you're going to go into Canada, have an inventory of every piece of gear, have your merch inventoried, because they'll count your fucking t-shirts and they probably.
Oh yeah. Well, I lived there and I would get hassled at the border.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's because I had a U.S. passport. I'm like, no, I live here. I need to get home.
You go, it's like, you think like a place like Japan would be a little bit more stringent on their, like, on letting you in or whatever. Like, it would be easier to get into Canada than Japan, but Japan just no problem getting in there. Anywhere in Europe, even like Eastern Bloc countries, man, we could get in there, no problem, no issues, nothing, man. Canada, I don't know, man.
Interesting.
And then I didn't even make that much money,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, fuck, because you play like a couple of big towns or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I don't, like, maybe it was for the time of year or whatever, but man, it was just a frozen fucking wasteland for so long, until you like sleep someplace and get up and start traveling again, and then go to some ski lodge and play for like 15 people. I don't know, man. And then and then finally you hit Toronto and you have like a good show, like, I guess Vancouver was a great show, but it's just really weird.
Yeah. I don't We think touring across the U.S. is a slog. Like, once you get outside of Chicago, from Chicago to wherever you're going west, like from Saskatchewan to Ontario, or from Vancouver to anywhere else, is like twice as far as anything in the U.S.
Exactly.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, and and you said Vancouver was good, and that's, Vancouver and Seattle sort of shared a lot of, like, they would, kind of put bands back and forth, and a lot of Seattle bands.
They have way better girl on girl fist fights in Canada. And
Oh yeah, that was definitely my experience every time I go to Canada. Is like, I think everybody here could kick my ass. Yeah. pretty sure.
I saw 2 girl cat fight. I mean, they're not cat fights. They're like, those chicks up there they're not messing around. They're just brutal, like fist punching each other, man. And I saw I saw Bloody Noses. I was just like, man, what is going on up here? They're just drunk. They're wasted. Just ready to fall. Yeah.
A lot of beer. I don't know. Have you watched that show Letterkenny?
No.
All right. Well, if you're ever looking for a distraction, there's a show on Hulu called Letterkenny that's about this rural Canadian town and this like group of young people who live on a farm and just get in fights and cause
all the
trouble.
Different scenes.
Yeah.
There's the hockey guys and the the drunkards and the goths and the skids,
the meth heads,
the farmers.
but then so it's like a ridiculous comedy, but then the whole thing has this like weird Shakespearean poetry vibe to it. It's this like highbrow, lowbrow, all at the same time thing. I saw it on a list of easy comedies to watch. Like Netflix has the fucking the weirdest categories. I think Letterkenny is not an easy comedy to watch because if you're not tuned in and listening, it's annoying as fuck. Like if you're not fully paying attention, you're like, what? My wife turned to me while we were watching it and she's like, what are you watching? This sounds so weird because it sounds like weird soliloquies and not normal conversation. But it's funny as hell, man.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, I might have to check that out tonight.
Yeah, well, if you have Hulu, there's like 7 seasons of it, so you have plenty to get caught up on. Yeah, it's
20-minute episodes,
short episodes, but it's a lot of fun.
Exactly.
Thanks for the information.
Yeah,
well, that's what we do here. We give
nice
TV,
talking to you.
Yeah,
thanks for being on the show.
Have a killer Sunday.
Go watch Letterkenny. Yeah. We were just saying, we were listening to the newest album, which was still almost 3 years ago.
2017,
18.
Wow. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It's crazy because I one of the things that has sort of amazed me is that the Zeke style, the just that hard, straightforward, fast as fuck, sort of bordering on hardcore and punk, and you come back with an album just a few years ago. This is exactly the same, and I think it's but you've been totally embraced by this sort of doom and stoner community, because I think that's where a lot of us go, right? Like a lot of hardcore people, a lot of hardcore bands are now like they're in doom bands.
Yeah,
they
playing
slow
slower
down. It's still heavy as fuck, but it's slow. But you didn't do that. Like
you didn't slow down.
Although you didn't slow down.
I heard
there's actually.
There is a rumor. There's another record, right?
Yes.
It's much more.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. So for one thing, I was in a band in 1992, or no, sorry. Maybe it was like 1995. I don't know. But it was called Family Sex Jackpot, and that was just really, really, really slow, heavy stuff, and so Zeke, I think, after we did Death Alley, I called it quits. I was like, I'm done. I don't really want to. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm tired of doing this. I don't really have anything else that I really want to do with this band, and it's just the way I felt about it at the time, man. I was just, and then I had a kid and all this stuff. And then that's when Relapse kind of got interested in us. And so, I think that the only reason why anybody from the heavier music community likes Zeke is because I took a bunch of songs and a bunch of riffs from heavier bands that I was doing at the time. And then, I didn't have an album when Relapse asked us to do Till the Living End. And so I kind of just threw all this stuff together, and me and Jeff and Donnie worked all these riffs out in the rehearsal. And then that's really what Till the Living End is, it's just like so, I think, and then after that, there was still a bunch of stuff left over that we had worked up that was probably really actually better than anything that went on that album. Unfortunately, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately. And there's like a couple of singles out that are Relapse singles where there's a lot of heavy riffs on, it's just heavier stuff. There's a single called Kings and Queens, I think, or maybe it's called Lords of the Highway. And, really, really kind of heavy stuff. So we have done that, and I've been doing it for my whole musical career. But yeah, after leaving everybody with Till the Living End, which is just such a weird Zeke record, and honestly, I a little bit thrown together, I have to admit, I wanted to, you know, come back and hit everybody really hard with like, you know, just like a old school, you know, like close to the first 3 albums, kind of a Zeke record. And I also, but I wanted to do it a little bit more live. And so that's the way we recorded the album was super fucking fast and just kind of tear your head off, sort of a you know, approach to you know, just standard kind of Zeke songs.
Yeah, we caught you on that tour too when you played at the Ritz in San Jose.
Oh yeah, that was way too fast. I saw a video of that. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck are we doing up there? You know, but it kind of the momentum. We, you know, so we already had the crazy thing is, you know, we already had the momentum when we did the record. You know, we had Kyle on guitar, and he's probably like the best guitar player that I played with in Zeke, you know, to be honest with you. And then you know, Dane had worked pretty hard to, you know, kind of be able to do a little bit of what Donnie does, even though he incorporated a lot of his own things in there, obviously. So we were already like pumped whenever we did the record. You know, when we were in the studio, we were hitting it, we were going pretty fast. So by the time we got on tour, and like midway through a tour, we would just be like, it would always be like grindcore. It was so fucking
your 40-minute sets, 25 minutes as it turns out.
For real, man. I was, you know, and somehow we pulled like 45 minutes out of those sets. You know, like I watched a couple of versions of the River and Mountain Man where I was like, I don't even know what song that is. I have no idea what song this is.
So you're not playing live to a click? I'm shocked. Oh, phone down. All right, he's back.
Man. But yeah, you know, and then yeah, it is true. There's another Zeke record, you know, ready to go. I mean, not really ready to go. It's not recorded yet because we just ran into so many technical difficulties whenever I guess personal and technical difficulties when we were recording it at Witch Studios for, you know, with Tad. And you know, which is just, it sucks, man, because we had, you know, Tad had everything set up, but we had amazing sounds. Everything was looking like it was going to be, you know, just go time. And then, you know, I had to go, I'm in the union, so I had to go and do some work. And I thought I could leave those guys in the studio to like do their parts. And then the idea was I'd come in and do, and finish my parts up later, but it just didn't work out because, you know, a band with Zeke, like Zeke, you know, it's probably, you know, you just have to have everybody in there together to really make it work and happen. I guess I didn't really know that. I just didn't know.
Find it out along the way.
Yeah, found it out the hard way. Yeah, like I can't remember how much Relapse had to pay. That bill was not a small. It wasn't a huge bill, but you know, like it wasn't a small bill either. You know, and so then they had to. Then when they, you know, they're like, we really want this record, so you know, you guys can you reform the band? And you know, I kind of hid from them for about a year. You know, after
I didn't see that email. What are you talking about? Yeah, I know that feeling.
I mean, well, you know, no, it's just, you know, I was working and I didn't really know how to tell those guys. I didn't want to get on the phone with those dudes and be like, and you know, they're pretty cool. They dealt with my ass, so they got to be pretty cool. But you know, seriously, but you know, I just didn't want to tell them. I didn't want to say, hey man, the band's broken up now. Everybody got pissed off at each other. It didn't work out. Blah blah blah. I'm sorry, blah blah. You know, what do I do? But you know, they kind of were really cool about it. They're like, hey, so what's up? You know, are we doing this or not? I'm like, well, you know, I got to reform the band. I just went ahead and told them. And they said, yeah, we'll just give you the money. Get in there and get it done.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, fucking, you know, what can I say about Relapse except for, you know, what, you know, that I just had a good experience with them on that level, you know.
Nice. And this was post Hellbender, or this was making of Hellbender?
This is making Hellbender. Well, Hellbender was going to be Thunder in the Ozarks. Thunder in the Ozarks is the album that we were trying to record with Tad, and it's you know, there's a lot of Motorhead kind of sounding shit in there, I guess, you know, but it's really heavy, man. Yeah. And it's real, and a lot of it's really slow and
very Sabbathy.
And yeah. It's it's I love those songs, you know, and I think it would have been a great record, you know, And I still don't know all the songs. I still got all the lyrics for them and everything. So it can be done again. But when I got Kyle and Dane in the band, I was just like, man, I just want to fucking do like a really fast Zeke record, and tour with those kind of songs, man, and see what happens, man. I think it'd be fun, and it turned out to be pretty fun.
Yeah. That was a super fun record. And what's interesting to me, actually, you bring up Tad, because I saw somebody else was recording in his studio, is that that some of the core members of the kind of, the early, whatever, Seattle grunge sound, whose names didn't really see the light of day necessarily, are still at it every day doing work. I mean, I have lots of friends. You guys went in and recorded with Jack and Dino. Tad's out there making records for people left and right. Up until he passed away at the last year, Steve Hamford was, Poison Idea was still recording people and making music. And like, those people are instrumental in a lot of the Melvins shit. Buzz is busier than ever. And those people were a lot of the foundation of, what we, when I was in college, consumed as Nirvana and Soundgarden and whatever else, but still what was bubbling under the surface is still there, putting in the work, like,
I love Tad.
Day Job style, which I love.
Yeah.
Me and Tad went motorcycle riding the other day, man. It was, but
nice.
Yeah, he's like one of the best dudes ever, man. I love Tad Doyle, man. Him and his wife Peggy are two of the best people I've ever met in my life. I don't know, man. And man, he was really he really wanted to make that record happen. It just didn't. And then and Steve, Steve was in the studio almost every day for Hellbender. Steve, yeah, he was just sitting there and telling Jack what to do. At some point, Jack was just done with Steve,
chirping in.
It's like, shut up, Steve.
Because I remember he was trying to do what Steve was telling him to do, and then he was like, I don't know, I don't know if that works. And then Steve would be just like, yeah, of course it works, man. Blah, blah, blah. And then a couple of times, there was a couple of things where Jack was like, yeah, I guess I'm kind of convinced there. Yeah, we'll roll with that or whatever. But, I don't know. Jack was so weird on that album. I think it was just, we're playing, we did probably 60 takes for some of those songs. Just to, yeah, I know it's horrible. Just to get the energy, like sort of like white hot, but also have like a modicum of accuracy, which was, it's really hard to split the difference there on that.
Well, go ahead.
Then there was one night, man, so it was just he's got Steve over there, and then Jack's got me, and he's trying to do we're doing all these takes. And then I remember one night I was like, roll these solos around to me. This was fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, roll the solos around to me, man. I'm going to do all the solos in one night. And Jack's like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
just solo night.
This concept of the live performance has come up before too, when we had on John Carbone from a newer band from New York called Moontooth. That's a pretty incredible band, and he's like, for a live performance, there's a balance of the right amount of ruckus, and fucking troublemaking on stage and being crazy and getting into the moment, versus the number of acceptable missed notes and things that are not quite in time. And it's true when you're recording live too. It's like you capture the energy of the performance. Now, luckily, with the tools that are available, you can scooch a few missed notes here and there if you need to, and line them up a little better. Maybe not perfect, but that wouldn't sound good anyways.
Well, my solos definitely didn't sound all that great. So I did all those. I wanted to do them all in one take, and I think we got through 2 songs, and then I heard this crack, and then some kind of pop, and then some other weird thing. And then something hit the control room window, and I was like, what what the fuck is going on, man? And Jack is like rolling up these chords like feverishly and walking around in there, and his face is all red. And so I put down my guitar and walk there. I'm like, what is going on, dude? He's like, that's it, I'm done. He's like, you're playing too loud. How loud is your Marshall? I'm like, I've got the motherfucker dying. And he's like, yeah. Why do you got to record like that? I'm like, dude. Isn't this the way we always do it? And he was like, I don't ever remember it being quite that loud. He's like, I'm done. He fucking rolled up all his shit, and then I was trying to talk to him. He's like, it's time to leave. And he like kind of fucking kicked me out of the studio.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Jack Dunn got old.
Well,
I know. You know what? To be honest, that's kind of what I was like. Motherfuckers just getting too old for this shit, man. Yeah.
Oh shit! When we were in the studio with Billy Anderson, and Carl's got his fucking Laney that only sounds right when it's when everything's dimed in the little isolation room. Like Carl tries to walk in there with his guitar, and it just turns into this like beach whale feedback because it's such a small space and so fucking loud that he can't get anywhere near his amp. And Billy's just in the control room like, can you get him like a 10-watt amp or even a 50-watt amp for the studio would be fucking great if we could just get something not 100 watts or more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bass player, man. I'm in a DI, so you don't have to worry about me. But yeah, it was funny too. You mentioned that the slow album, fast album. Billy told the legendary story of recording, the Weed Eater record that he, God Luck and Goodspeed.
It's a great record.
Before they went to Albini to record it, Billy's got a full recording of it because he introduced them to his speed dealer. And there's the recording that he did is about 1.5 to 2 times faster than the one that was ultimately released. And they like all finished up and went, this is no good. We need to start over and slow it down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Also another band that probably doesn't record to a click.
Weed Eater?
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Just a guess. I'm sure you've toured with those guys at some point or another.
Oh yeah, man. I fucking I got to get up there and do Give Me Back My Bullets with them when we hit South Carolina. It was pretty fun, man. Great bunch of guys, man. Yeah, those guys are just, it's too bad about, what's going on with all the drummers dying? I guess the fucking whole Spinal Tap thing is like a real deal.
Yeah, that was crazy because that happened. We saw them at Psycho Las Vegas.
Right.
Whatever. The first year that we went, and then I think he died like a week after we saw them play.
Mm-hmm.
He died a week after our tour.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like
it was about the same time.
He just like went out for a run, right, and had an aneurysm or something.
I guess he went. He got back home. And he was sitting in front of the TV. They found him slumped over the TV. Yeah, he was real healthy, man.
Yeah,
like that guy was kind of a clean living dude, and really sort of a gentleman, man. I really. I don't know, man.
That's a bummer. And then there's fucking Dixie at the center bar on his second fifth to Jack, just like holding court and telling stories, and somehow that guy's still here. It's fucking impressive.
Honestly, he's a sweetheart too, man.
He is so nice. You like expect him to be gruff and maybe a little bit intimidating, and he's not at all. I think mostly when I talked to him, we just talked about fishing.
Yeah,
like he just wanted to talk. He just wanted to talk about fishing.
That's I mean, I could tell you a couple of stories, but I don't know if that would be appropriate and B, a very cool thing to do. So, but yeah, it's not like
he has Dixie stories, right? Especially people that have toured with them.
Well, no, I mean, I'm I don't know, whatever. I don't want to go into it, but
that's fine.
No, totally.
We both come from the same background.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about rock and roll, man. It doesn't seem like you shouldn't, in order to to play and create good rock and roll, you shouldn't have to be like just sort of like this contemptuous, angry scoundrel of a person, right? But
no,
but I guess
it works out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you come up from the bottom, from a DIY background, like the first few years, if you hit eventually, are always going to be kind of the same story. Not enough money, packed in a van, not enough sleep, not proper food. Like nothing on the road is conducive to clean living. Although I've noticed more and more people, more bands, even young bands, kind of figuring it out without going the way to the other side and being straight edge assholes.
Yeah.
Like finding a balance somehow.
Yeah. Like, I got my hats are off to the kids these days, because, like, some of them are putting out some legitimately impactful rock and roll, and they're not running around like we were, but then again, they're not, like I come from a straight up criminal background. Nobody in Zeke is, like really probably, like I couldn't see, any of us like winding up being in a rock and roll band that did anything at all, so it's kind of a miracle that the three of us, me and Donnie and Dizzy, got together and kind of like, I'd say we kind of pulled ourselves out of, a really dark place with doing what we did. So,
yeah. That's good, and you don't hear enough stories like that. You hear so many stories that go the other direction.
Yeah, I don't know when it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see it. It's like there's a lot of things that can happen. When you're out there, and it is kind of like it's like Scandinavian people. When back in the day, whenever and when I say back then, I mean like like way back. Where like farm kids of farm owners would be like, there's not enough land here for you, so you got to go figure it out. And so these guys all get on a boat and they go Viking. They go from Vike to Vike, and just raiding. And that's kind of what you're doing when you're in a rock and roll band. So I can see how it could go the other way. It's just that. Yeah, that's not. Really
throw in a little bit of like once you have some steam, a little adoration, a little worship into the mix, and you get this potentially dangerous cocktail of like self-importance and.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
I'm making some real art here, and look, these people love me, and people want to buy me shots. Like hearing people in music, and I hear it a lot in comedy too, like people trying to get off of a drinking lifestyle. When your life is going into alcohol bars, where the number one thing that a fan wants to do if they're really happy with what they saw from you is buy you a shot of something. And just like that simple thing, trying to avoid that is so hard.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, like, all of us are dads.
Yes.
How much, and like, what does your daughter know about sort of old you, if anything?
She probably knows everything. Her mom, is not afraid to, kiss and tell about pretty much everything. I think, all the stuff that I don't want her to know about, she probably already knows. So, and what are you going to do? Like hide everything from kids,
It's impossible.
Yeah.
The internet ruined that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, man, the internet. But, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. But at the same time, it's kind of like, hey man, I don't know why people think that kids aren't on top of it and really smart and incredibly aware, because they are,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Like when you were 12 years old, you knew all kinds of stuff that your parents didn't think you knew about, right?
Yeah.
You were into all kinds of shit that they would not have thought. But and so it's the same thing with our kids.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're all, JD and I both have two girls, so especially like bringing up girls now, and trying to figure out like what if anything to shield them from, what to introduce them to, what to preempt and go like, hey, this this
you're gonna come across this.
Yeah, you might as well.
Here's my parental warning.
And it's changed a lot, because like I'll sit down and watch a movie or a show with my kids that I never would have sat down and watched with my parents without like turning beat red and running out of the room, or like they're worldly in a good way. At least my kids are. I don't know. They're
no, totally.
And if we just let them, I don't know. made a decision early on when we had kids that I would never be, because it's not in my being, but I think you still have to make a choice like this to not be the dad with the shotgun when the boyfriend shows up, because like fucking being a teenager was rad. I had a blast, and dating girls was awesome. Like it was all fun. So why would I then grow up and then decide, oh no, that was for me, but it's not for you. Like I'm going to be this dickhead and try and prevent you from like, go be safe, but go have the same fun I had. Like, why not? Mm-hmm. I'm still here.
Yeah. I don't want my daughter to have the same kind of fun that I had.
Yeah. There are levels. Maybe there are levels, but
I think Jeff's level of fun might've been a little different.
I was a dork. Dressing up like Rush and
oh, it's amazing.
But I had my moments.
Yeah.
I had my moments for sure. Yeah, I saw we both have kids who graduated from high school this year. What was it like? I know what it was like having two teenagers in my house for a year and a half with no school. What was it like up in Washington? Did she make it through okay?
I don't know, for my daughter, like I was afraid that, I'm working all the time. So I come home and she's on her computer and I'm just like, did you do your homework? Did you get everything done? Is everything, and she would just, say, yeah. And, I think she did. I'll just be honest with you. I think she did better with the quarantine than she was doing before all this stuff started.
Yeah, I would say academically, same for both of my kids. It fit their personalities enough that it sort of worked out. I know that wasn't the experience for everyone, but I was kind of surprised to see.
Opposite on this side.
Yeah, he had his kids are a little bit younger, and he had slightly different experience.
It was not a good experience.
Oh, sorry, dude.
Shit
happens.
Yeah, shit like a lot of shit happened in the last year and a half.
Exactly.
Probably shit that none of us ever expected.
I miss quarantine. Quarantine was so awesome, man.
That is a common theme among musicians, as it turns out.
Oh my God, man! I remember I was able to just ride around on Cabot. It was like everything, it was like being a Philip K. Dick novel or something. You know what I mean? It was like a real dystopian nightmare, scenario, and I could just kind of ride my motorcycle through, around and just checking out all this weird stuff, all this weird graffiti. And we also had the whole I don't know, I guess it would be the American equivalent to was supposed to be the American equivalent to Christiania in Denmark or whatever, but
the Chaz.
It didn't quite wind up being that. So, that
good on you. Yeah, I'm glad they tried it.
Wait, what is that?
Me too.
Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
The no police or government allowed here.
Oh yeah,
we're just gonna rope off this area. And
that's right. I read about that.
We'll take care of you if you come in here.
Unfortunately, at the hub of this idealist sort of community or whatever was the Seattle Police Department, their headquarters. So how are you gonna make that work?
Yeah. Well, and Seattle is not like the Bay Area or other places where there's like flat expanses for miles. Like when you have to get from one point to another, there's oftentimes really only one way to go because you got to get on some bridge or it's just not that easy to get from place to place. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you can block off a section all you want, but people still have to get through there to get from one place to another. So it's I'm sure it was interesting. I kind of wanted to get up there and see it, because it's an interesting moment. But we did not travel away from here until the spring of this year when it was time to look at colleges. So
yeah. And what were you riding through these zones? I know you have a very very particular taste in bikes.
I don't. I love all motorcycles, but right now I've got a bike I'm riding right now is and I've got a couple. I got 4 bikes. The one that I'm riding right now is a 1972 FLH, but it's been stripped down. So basically all it almost looks like an FX, but it's an FLH.
Gotcha.
Shovelhead.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I had a sweet Honda scooter when I was a teenager. It was pretty badass. Yeah, was never properly licensed though, and eventually it just got towed away. So
I'm always rolling dirty.
yeah. That's funny. Yeah, my two-wheeled vehicle of choice is a mountain bike at this point. And now as I get older, I'm like, I like the idea of those mountain bikes that have the little electric motors in them so that I can go up the hill easy.
Yeah, my two of my friends, one of them was in Zeke for a while, and then the other one was manager for Zeke, and for a few years, those guys are really into that. They've got mountain bikes with they're I think they're $7,000 bicycles.
Especially the electric ones, the hybrid ones.
Yeah,
that's
like up into like the tens of
$7,000 to $12,000 for a mountain bike.
I think I'd rather just buy a motorcycle.
Just buy a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I guess you can't go on as many trails though.
No.
Nice. Should we listen to some music?
Yeah, I think we should.
About that time?
So I don't know how much of my non-prep email you read, but basically we started this because JD and I, besides being in bands, I'm currently in a band. He's been in the past. We do a lot of booking in the Bay Area, so we run shows, and so our life was, even though we have families, like 3 nights a week we're out at a show or running a show. Like we're very much deep in it, and a lot of that is talking to people like this and talking about music. And by September of last year, we were both losing our fucking minds. Like, all right, we need to, how can we reconstruct some little part of what it is that we love to do? And we got this idea because, like, I was scrolling through Facebook one day and I was like, fuck, man, in like 45 seconds, I think I just scrolled past like 20 bands, links that people posted that said, hey, you should listen to this. And we just started thinking, like, what is it? Why do I press play on one and not on the other? Like, what are the elements that get you to start listening to something? And then once you're listening, what keeps you listening?
Yeah.
And then so we just put the word out into the world for bands to start submitting music to us. And the only rule was we had to not know who they were or what their music sounded like in order to listen to it. And now we're 40 episodes deep, and have listened to over 200
a lot of songs,
unknown bands, found bands all over the world that we've fallen in love with. And so yeah, we're just continuing that. So basically we'll just start playing a song at some point along the way. We'll pause it and just talk about what we hear and what we see. And I'll share the screen. I know you're on a phone, so it's a little bit hard, but you'll at least be able to get a look at the the Bandcamp site or whatever the band's got going on. How into the art side of music are you? Like, are you stoked to find a cover artist and work on designs for albums or tour posters or shit like that, or is that stuff you let other people deal with?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the worst thing that I ever did was let somebody else deal with our art, because
really?
Yeah, I mean, I had a bad experience with Relapse where they told me, hey, if you don't get us this folder for Flat Tracker and this folder for Super Sound Racing, we're just going to release it with our own art. And I thought, well, how bad can it fucking be? It's Relapse. How are they going to fuck that up? And then I don't know if you've seen the art for the re-releases of Super Sound Racing and Flat Tracker, but it's not. It isn't what. It has a very different flavor than the artwork that I originally designed. So yeah, I'm very, very active. Like when I hear the record, I have an idea of what it's supposed to look like, and then I just and then I just work until I get it right. And I use different. The last record, I went ahead and commissioned Hollis Tucker to do the artwork. Rest in peace. He's dead now. But I just knew that because he's one of those kind of custom culture sort of Ed Roth influenced guys, and everything he does is pure genius. And I think that the record art is fucking amazing. So yeah, it's important to me, man. So
it
is.
Yeah, and the art is like a perfect match for that. For Hellbender, at least, the art's a perfect match for the record.
Yeah, I mean, it's so Ed Roth style. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Dirty Donnie. There's there's a bunch of people.
Yeah, Dirty Donnie's art is in the on on the label, I think.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so the first band we're going to listen to, and I'll share my screen so you can see. I know you're looking at a phone, so you'll be limited in what you can see. So what are they called?
So this one, I'm guessing it's Hack 123.
Hack 123.
Hack You?
I don't know.
But this one is interesting. So we got the email on this one this morning.
Oh, did we? All right.
And this is what kind of turned me on to it. Was they basically said that the first show that this band ever played was at the Supersonic Festival in the UK in 2017, when the singer was 8 and the drummer was 9.
What?
So essentially right now this band is made up. It's a family band that has the singer, who is the daughter, who is age 12, and the drummer, Zach, is the brother, who is 13, and then the dad also plays on it.
All right, here we are. So if you're watching on YouTube, we're actually looking at the band. This is the most unique band photo we've seen.
Yeah, right.
That's fucking rad. Does your daughter play any instruments? Have you ever?
Yeah, she does. She does.
Have you guys play music together? I'm always
we
curious.
have jammed together. Yes.
Yeah. What does she play?
She plays guitar.
Okay. Yeah.
She plays guitar and
I forced my youngest to play drums because I'm a bass player and I can't exist without a drummer. But she doesn't want to play with me because she does not like my music. So. Oh well.
All right, so let's see what this family band sounds like.
I'm like excited and scared at the same time. I hope it's good. And you can say whatever you want or don't want. The default escape, if you don't want to be mean, is that's not for me, which is invoked pretty frequently when we're listening to music here, or some people just don't care and are happy to give their unvarnished opinion. All right, so this song is called The More.
The More,
and it's hack123.bandcamp.com, HAQ123. All right, here we go.
I mean, it's like super simple, but I would never expect that, like a band of a 12 and a 13-year-old and their dad. I think that's interesting.
Okay. That was something.
Pick another song. I wonder if they sing like that the entire time.
Well, this is the fun thing about Bandcamp is that you can just make this record and put it out, and this looks as good as the Relapse page. You wouldn't.
You'd never know.
You wouldn't necessarily know what you're in for. All right. Human Remains, because there's nothing a 12-year-old girl likes to sing about
more than Human Remains.
All right.
Exactly. Let's give it a shot.
Terrible news! A terrible accident! Terrible scenes! Awful tragedy!
I think that's fun.
That's great.
I think it's great. I mean, it might not be something. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it might not be something I'd pick up and listen to on the record player every day, but no. I think it's great. I loved it.
I think it's awesome that they can just do that.
Exactly.
And you look back at that. I mean, who knows? Maybe one of the two of them will become like really serious at some point and get in a band, and they'll always be able to throw back to.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll see kids this age that cover other bands, and they do, like you see a lot of those covers that'll take off on YouTube.
Yeah.
But you don't see them making their own music like this. This
is awesome. That's for sure. Speaking of which, have you ever done one of those like Seattle, Portland School of Rock? Mark from Zeke sits in with a bunch of kids and plays a Zeke song.
No, I was going to. I was talking to him about it, and then I can't remember what happened. I just I got busy and wasn't able to do it. I think Sonny was doing it for a while.
Yeah.
No, nice.
It's fun. I mean, you know, there's a few of those videos have floated around. I know there's one of Danny Carey playing drums, which like it's fucking scary, but cool that he's up for that. And there was the High on Fire one that
the
was
Matt Pike one.
There's at least one. I think there's a couple that Matt's done.
Yeah,
those are fun because it's like if you know Matt, like just him and then being around a bunch of little kids and like the potential for interesting conversation to me is huge. I would have loved to have been in the studio listening in on that.
Yeah. And he usually puts on a shirt for those occasions.
Yeah. So for the people who don't know, for a period of time, Jeff Matz was playing bass in Zeke, right?
For a period of time, yeah.
For a good chunk of time.
He was in a band with, he's real tight with all those guys in Fort Collins. You know, he was in a band called Rush Like Me, and and that's I don't know, man. He was always really into Zeke, and he wanted to play in our band, and he knew every single song. We were auditioning Jason Freeman, you know, who was our bass player for 6 years, and Jeff gave us a call, and he was like, "Hey, man, I heard I'll come up from Fort Collins." And we kind of didn't think that he would, but he did. He showed up like the next day with his bass, and Jason was playing with us, and Jeff said, "Hey, can I play a couple of songs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man. You came all the way up here. We kind of really didn't think you were coming." And then he went through the entire set with us. And at that point, I kind of had to tell Jason, "Hey, man, I don't know. I think this guy's kind of got your gig." And Jason was like, "Yeah, absolutely, man. Fucking, you need to do it with that guy." And and Jeff played in the band for probably like 8 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 years. I know our guitar player Carl told me that at one point when after he moved up to Seattle with a band called Imperial Spacepod, they had
that's a great band.
Yeah, right. So that's the guitar player for my band.
Wow.
And then Mitch French, who was the singer for Operator Generator, one of those Man's Ruin bands. And then I think Carl said at some point Ollie, who played drums in Grunt Truck for at least at some point in time, was their drummer. And yeah, they made one record with Jack Endino, never released it, never even finished it. It's fucking a brilliant record. It sounds like Earthless, but heavier. And and live, man. And that guy's a great guitar player, man. Yeah. Carl is a really interesting, good guitar player. And people who listen to us don't realize, like, there's one video of them live at the Showbox from I don't know, like 92 or 93 maybe. Yeah. Carl's like playing a Strat, and which he doesn't ever anymore, and just wailing these like 15-minute songs with 5 guitar solos. I've watched that one probably 5 times or something, man. Oh, wow. Shit, that will make him very happy to hear that. It's really
I'll have to look that one up. I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's fun. Well, no, it's like he's hilarious
too.
The
sound quality is pretty good.
Yeah. The sound quality is good, and like it starts off with him like unlacing his boots and taking his boots off and like setting them at the front of the stage because he always played barefoot.
Really?
Yeah. It's people who know him now and don't like. He's got long, stringy blonde hair. It looks like a completely different person than he is now. But yeah, no, he said he loved being near you guys in the studio because he was a big fan and just listening to Zeke. And I think he maybe knew Jeff already from the Bay Area. I don't know. Maybe Jeff hadn't been down here yet. I think he moved down here later. But Jeff didn't live in. So when he moved to Oakland. Yeah, that's the first time that he'd lived down there.
Yeah.
All right. Should we listen to another song?
Let's do it.
All right. So
let's do it.
So what's next? We
Ruff
had
Majik.
Ruff Majik.
I'm a little hesitant.
Why?
I don't know, just the spelling.
Name. So I'll cop to having heard of this band.
You've heard of them?
Of them, but I've never listened to them.
Yeah.
All right, they want us to listen to All You Need Is Speed.
All You Need Is Speed.
Okay, that's one way to live.
All right.
I don't know. I met enough tweakers that I'm not sure I would agree with that. But maybe they mean
different kind of speed.
Yeah, maybe they mean something else. All right, let's hear it.
like it.
Huh? What do you think?
You know, I like I love the sound of those orange amps, you know. I don't know about the treatment, you know, like on those guitar parts. I'm not a huge Queens of the Stone Age fan. And I'm not saying it sounds like that at all.
It kind of has that vibe.
It does. It has a similar vibe, especially once those vocals, which are very different than what you would expect when you hear the music start.
Yeah.
Once the vocals kick in.
Kind of impressed by the vocals. I mean, it seems like
I was too.
I don't necessarily. That's not necessarily my aesthetic, but you know, it you know, it seems like they're doing something.
Yeah. They made choices. Mm-hmm. That's, you know, what's one thing we've noticed is like some people will like get deep into a genre and make music that's like very true to whatever that genre or style is. And it doesn't involve a lot of choices exactly, like going out on a limb anywhere, but you got to do it.
Yeah, these guys are
making, they're making choices for sure, which I can appreciate, even if it's not something that I would buy and listen to.
I think that's why I kind of like it. It's not what I would expect. The beginning is like, oh, okay, so this is kind of Queens of the Stone Agey, and then those vocals come in, and you're like, oh, and then you get a lot of like the double kick, and you're like, oh, this isn't what, it's like Queens went down a more, Queens went down a more Motorhead path and a less like lazy desert rock, and then ultimately pop music path. No, that was interesting. That was good. They got nice records. Where are they from? They're from Germany? This says Ruff Majik is a rotten roll 5-piece from South Africa.
South Africa? Oh, shit.
Whoa.
I don't think we've listened to any South African bands.
It says Germany in two places, like within
so
an inch of each other. It says Germany and South Africa. Whatever.
What's the difference?
What's the difference to me?
Well, it was recorded in South Africa.
Okay.
It looks like maybe some of the people were in Germany when they recorded their parts, because it looks like it was maybe done over. Oh no, it looks like it was done. Who knows? I don't know.
What label are they on? They must be on something.
But yeah, I'll probably listen to more of this.
Yeah,
I'd like to see where it goes. For sure.
Yeah,
I mean that's only a 2-minute song.
Just out of morbid curiosity, I would listen to the rest of this record.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pick one song. Heart Like an Alligator. Because I'm curious if it like stays at that pace the whole time.
Stays at that pace.
Or if there's some diversity. The Devil's Cattle. That's the name of the record, I think. Yeah, so let's listen to the title track.
Title track.
At least for a minute. All right, you tell me that's a new Jack White song. I'm not at all surprised.
Just gonna say it's Queens of the Stone Age meets the White Stripes.
It's like if like they still had the Croft Super Show going on, or like it's like a Saturday morning cartoon stoner rock band.
Yeah,
you know, like you're watching the Flintstones and they had a stoner rock band. That's what
oh shit! Or like if there was a band playing at the Wacky Races. Like fucking Grape Ape and Magilla Gorilla are tearing around the track, and that band's like in the background.
Yeah.
All right, Ruff Majik. So now you have a mission. Make that happen. Make a video that's like the Wacky Races.
I'm into it. I'm gonna keep listening.
No,
I'm gonna check them out for sure.
I did not dislike that, but it definitely surprised me.
You have intrigued me enough to keep listening, Ruff Majik.
Okay,
surprising is the word.
Yeah.
Unexpected.
All right, so what's next?
The next one is our Bandcamp pick. And this is I picked this. I mean, how could I not? So it was an entire article about sort of the Greek heavy rock scene and how it's come along a long way in sort of just recent years. Like, I mean, it started off and there was a lot of sort of groundbreaking bands in the 90s and the early aughts. Bands like Night Stalker and 1,000 Mods. I think 1,000 Mods is definitely a band that got pretty big over here.
Yeah.
Planet of Zeus. And so now there's sort of like this new generation of sort of this heavy stoner rock coming out of Greece. And so this is an entire article about these bands. And one such band is called Instant Boner. I mean...
Is that a translation issue?
You can't... Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Is that a challenge to me?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm supposed to do as soon as I press play?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what happens to you once you listen to their music. But it's interesting because it's got saxophones in it. Sax is sort of reinforcing the rhythm section in there. The vocalist is a female, which you wouldn't expect for a band named Instant Boner.
Well,
or you would.
I don't know. Did you guys get to tour in Greece a lot? Do you have experience with crowds in Greece?
I have one show that I played in Greece.
Just one? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say it's a fucking great place to play, and that the fans are super enthusiastic, and there's a lot of interest in heavy music in general in Greece, but especially this like kind of noisy, messy heavy music, not like modern metal, but
two shows. We had two shows, and both of them were. One of them was really good. The other one was almost ridiculous. Like difficult to play.
Oh, gotcha.
With like the problems with the venue, or just
there's people everywhere, man. It was
gotcha.
Sweaty, like one of those shows where like your guitar's sweating.
Yeah,
you're sweating.
Yeah. Well, in Greece is very humid, right?
I mean, here's a controversial topic. Anyone who's never been in a rock band who thinks that the like terry cloth wristbands are all like a posing thing is like a fashion thing, has never played in a really, really, really sweaty venue where everything on you is leaking water and you need to like hold on to a pick and keep your hands relatively dry so that you can actually operate a guitar. Like there's a purpose for those things. It just doesn't, you might not think of it from the outset. All right. So here we go.
Just to look good.
Well, they look.
I'm kidding.
Well, it's because we all grew up watching Metallica, and
the song is "Inside Your Head."
All right.
I don't know if that's the one it's on. But
that's the one it's on.
Let's listen to it.
All right, Instant Boner. Okay. Okay.
I close my eyes, I feel nothing. All my thoughts are gone today, there's nothing more.
liking it. I want to see where it goes. How long is this song?
Yeah, I mean, I have potential production thoughts, but we're for you listening through it to it through Zoom isn't always going to be the best experience. So we try to be a little bit gentle when things sound insane, because maybe that's not the way they're supposed to sound. And when we put out the actual podcast episode, we'll have better audio for the music. So, but what'd you think? What do you listen to outside of Zeke? Like,
man, what do I listen to? I don't really, man. What do I listen to? Like these days, I don't really listen to a whole lot of anything, man. You know, it's like the last thing that I was, oh man, the last thing I was listening to was Wayne Kemp and David Allan Coe.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So not like experimental Greek stoner jams.
No, but no. But I would, you know, like if I was going up to to the border, you know, and I had a long drive ahead of me, and I put that in. I wouldn't take it out. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this does seem like music that you would drive to.
Yeah, it's funny. Driving music
Late
is
at night.
a real genre. Do you listen to music when you're on the motorcycle?
No.
No.
Yeah, it's called a fucking 80-inch shovel head.
Yeah, I figured, but
makes it so you can't hear much of else
Well,
of
you know.
anything.
Yeah, you know, like I don't understand like you know, the whole like blasting music while you've got this, you know, the best sound ever, you know, coming right up from under you. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. There's a guy that drives around San Jose that I see all the time.
yeah,
That is always, it's the most unexpected thing because he's got this just, I mean, massive bike, that
like a
he
big tour, like
yeah.
a big touring bike.
Oh,
I think
well,
I've
no,
seen
it's
him.
like it's probably like almost looks like the what is it, the YLH that you just mentioned, but he like drives around blasting like funk.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Have you seen him?
Oh, I've definitely
Yeah,
seen
he's
him.
always just blasting the funk, and he's just like, it's pretty funny actually, because you would not expect that.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never understood like listen to the music that I'm going to make you listen to what I'm listening to.
Yeah, no,
like
I don't.
roll your car windows down and blast music for other people.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing that people do.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm into this instant boner, though.
I mean, it's hard to fucking
It's
take
hard
it
to
seriously.
say. It is
Well,
hard
I
to
mean,
take it seriously.
That's how I grew up, you know, like in Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's what we did, you know, is we'd go to the go-kart tracks after it was raining, and we would go four-wheeling in our Jeeps and blast Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we weren't driving around town. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
did that too.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'm guilty.
So you grew up in Arkansas. When did you leave?
When I was 19 years old.
Yeah. Did you play in bands in Arkansas? Arkansas shockingly comes up quite a bit on this podcast. Probably
Really?
partially my fault.
That is
Because it's like it's my example of like the scariest place I had to drive through going from point A to point B generally.
understood. I understand completely.
But
Yeah.
but was there much of a music scene growing up? Local bands? Like what got you started?
No, what got me started was Kiss and Alice Cooper, you know.
Okay.
So, you know, and it's like it's kind of weird, man, because I didn't really have any. I didn't have any cool music to listen to. Like the coolest it got was like, you know, Black Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult and you know, and then later on, you know, like I don't know, Iron Maiden and I guess, you know, Metallica or whatever. But you know, we didn't really like. I didn't even hear the Ramones until I moved to Los Angeles. I think, you know, when I was like how old was I? Like 20 years old. And then, you know, of course, I got this, you know, punk rock girlfriend that my buddy from North Carolina introduced me to, and she was from DC, and she was a DC transplant to LA, and she, you know, she was like, just laughed at me every day. She's like, you want to start a band that's like, you know, like, what, you know, like, you know, Aerosmith and Kiss. Like, you can't do that. Nobody's going to take you seriously, and they're all going to hate you here. She's like, listen, I'm going to turn you on to some good music. And so she, you know, she turned me on to like all kinds of shit. But like, first she turned me on to like Minor Threat. And really that was just like a super game changer for me. You know, like when I heard Minor Threat, like something went off in my brain, and I don't know. And then, you know, she turned me on to a bunch of other stuff, and Big Black. She turned me on to like a lot of weird stuff, you know, that you know, I wound up liking a lot. She turned me on to other stuff, you know. She's like, you know, if you like Minor Threat, maybe you'll like Fugazi. And I was like, well, this is totally different, you know. And she's like, yeah, but check this out. And then she like took me back to, I don't know. So I got a lot like history lessons from her, you know, and you know, she turned me on to the Gun Club, and that was actually like, I know it doesn't seem like it, but that was pretty influential on the first, you know, for the first Zeke record, you know, and a lot of the mechanics of the band. Actually, we just turned into a much faster, harder thing, you know. And then you know, she turned me on to GBH, you know, and you know, just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Sounds like, you were kind of into sort of radio rock, right? Kind of before that, and then met her, and she introduced you to the underground and punk
I
rock.
wouldn't call it radio rock. I was a little bit more
well, Aerosmith, Kiss.
Yeah, but before the 80s.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when Aerosmith like had a shred of dignity still before they started playing Diane Warren songs.
I mean, come on, Toys in the Rock Toys in the Attic and Rocks are two really amazing records.
Yeah.
That is true.
I will say though, like Zeke, if you said, what does Zeke sound like? And someone said it's like a guy from Arkansas who in his early 20s was introduced to DC hardcore. I'd go, yep. Absolutely.
That sounds like a good description.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
in a good way.
In a good way,
of course, because those fucking DC hardcore guys were like so. From a distance, were so self-important or principled or whatever, and there weren't album covers with like big engines and shit on them. It was like it's a different sensibility, but a similar style.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Well, hey, I found a little bit of that live at the Color Box. Let's go ahead and listen, since it came up, to a little Imperial Spacepod while we're at it here, just because why not?
Oh, cool, yeah.
This is
okay.
I don't care what you have queued up. No, I'm just kidding.
I guess we're done with Instant Boner.
Instant Boner. I'm gonna listen to you some more. You didn't even submit music.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna listen to more of it. I want to hear the rest of that. One thing that I wonder is I wonder how much merch they sell.
I don't know.
I mean, I would never buy a shirt that says Instant Boner on it. Like
someone would.
I know some people would.
It's just weird. It's like the name and the image don't match. The name and the artwork don't match. That's why I wonder if it's a weird translation thing. But they're singing in English, no problem. Yeah. So whatever. I don't know. All right, so let me share this so that you can get a look at it. And it was actually the Color Box, not the Show Box.
It's like they're sabotaging their own success.
Yeah. It's
like, who's the motherfucker in the band that's laying down the law and saying, no, we're instant boner. That's that. Yeah. I'm not sacrificing the integrity of this project.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, come on, Nico, or whatever his name most likely is.
It's definitely Nick. Yeah. Nico.
Fucking Nick.
Yeah. And the singer's name is probably Anna.
All right. So let's hear a little bit of this. This is funny too, because it's like, remember back in the day when shows had a host and someone would actually go out and introduce the bands?
No.
I don't. You don't remember that? That wasn't a Salt Lake City thing.
Was that a thing? I don't remember that.
So here we got Carl taking his boots off, and Mitch in the background worshiping Alice's Narrows.
Interesting. Do we get to watch the entire process of him taking his boots off?
Oh, if you want. It's there if you want it. So if you're looking on YouTube, just search Imperial Spacepod live at the Color Box. Yeah, no, it's the full thing. And you'll recognize this.
Will I?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll totally recognize it.
Imperial Space Kook.
Yeah, pretty much. Not anymore, though.
Interesting.
I told you, it's like Earthless.
Does anybody sing?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So it is just a jam. Imperial Spacepod sounds like a jam name.
It's because Carl's a Star Wars nerd. Yeah, no, that's a fun video actually. If anyone,
it's superior to so much,
right? Oh, I know. We actually had the record remixed, and somewhere Jack's sitting on a mix of it. I need to bug him about to see if we can get his old mix of it. Because
yeah,
the
it's
remix,
just too good.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's I think it's like 35 minutes, and I think there's maybe 4 songs on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very much like the proto Earthless mold of this like heavier, mixed up stoner jams. Yeah, no, they were good, and like I said, Mitch went on to sing for Operator Generator, which was a hugely influential band in the Bay Area to a lot of what came out. We've talked about them plenty on here.
Yeah, they were like super Caius-y.
Yeah. I mean, they were a lot of things. And one of these days, if somebody knows him, I want to get him on here is to talk to Frank Kozik about just Man's Ruin in general and how much work he did to expose so many bands to the world in the like late 80s and early 90s that were not getting played anywhere else, especially West Coast bands.
Yeah.
All right. You got any records or anything?
Oh, I got records.
Did you buy anything? Do you so if you're not listening to much, I assume you're probably not collecting records, or you buy a gear hound, or do you have all the gear you could ever want for playing guitar and you just kind of use what you have already?
Man, yeah, I've been using those Marshalls for so long, every time I feel like I need to change it up, I just take it somewhere and fuck around with it until I get it right. And then yeah, it's like, and Marshalls are really like the worst sounding amps that you could ever buy. Really, man, I mean, they're so terrible sounding. Like there's only one thing you can do with a Marshall that sounds good, and that's open ringing chords. If you're doing anything that sounds like AC/DC or even Rush, since we were talking about that earlier, you can get good tones, but you can't really get, it's like, I mean, listen, if you listen to Judas Priest records, man, those amps may say Marshall on them, but they are not playing. Their tone is not coming from the amp. Their tone is definitely coming from the pedal board or whatever. I don't use any effects, man. So I just kind of have this shitty, it's just not very good guitar. It's kind of like I'm playing such fast music. It doesn't track if I use something a little bit better sounding, like a Mesa Boogies just sound too quiet. So I don't own any of those. I had one for a while and I gave it to Casey from the Convictions because they do more of a metal thing. And then I did use a Laney for a lot of Hellbender.
Yeah.
But it was that Tony Iommi model though.
The new one that they just released a few years ago.
This is like probably the first Tony Iommi model Laney.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then
I like the Laneys, and I love high watts too.
I don't know what to do with a high watt, man. High watt, it's like I don't know. I mean, you mean just plug it straight into the high watt?
Yeah. You got.
Wow.
Not for me, but that's one thing Carl does occasionally, and he doesn't use any effects either. He's got a wah-wah pedal and a roto vibe, and that's it. So it's
that's a pretty bright sound, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bright. It's not for everything, but when it's called for, there's nothing else like it. He just got his hands on a Varellin, which is what I play. And
those are good.
And now Ben just announced that he's closing down the shop. The Varellin is no longer going to be making amps. Yeah.
Wow.
So
interesting. Wonder what happened.
He's busy, man. He owns a really popular bar in Seattle called Bar House. And have you been there?
I've never even heard of it, man.
It's like a fun, goofy themed bar. It's like a Disneyland bar.
Oh, really?
And it's got like some hotel rooms attached. So now he runs a deal. If you're touring through Seattle and you're in a band and you need a place to stay, they'll give you like cheap band rates on the rooms that they have attached to the bar, which is cool.
That's
as hell.
fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Every bar should have a hotel room attached to it for the touring bands.
And I already have my Varellin, so it's fine with me if he doesn't make any more. Because he said he's going to support them until he dies. So I'll never have to worry about my amp needing service. But if it means more time to write new Helms Lee music, I'm all in. I'd rather have more Helms Lee than more
another amp,
more Varellan amps. So yeah, that's a band we both love a lot. So, and I think it's kind of similar influences. Is kind of like taking hardcore and injecting some chaos into it, a little bit of chaos into it.
Yeah. Oh, and incredible musicianship.
Yeah. Well, what did you get? You bought some records.
I'll
give
you 3 guesses.
The problem with doing this podcast is that we listen to all this music, and that inevitably leads to buying records, and so now we just spend too much money on records. Yes. Oh, I know what this is.
So this is the new. It's 20 years in the making. Can't really see it. It's a new Iceburn. So Iceburn was this hardcore band from Salt Lake back in the 90s. Really, really ahead of their time because they were like super jazz influenced. And then, they were a Revelation Records band, toured with a lot of other hardcore bands, but always just really interesting because they were super heavy, but super jazzy at the same time. And then they actually started like a sort of a free form jazz collective, and really got funky with their music. But this new record is incredible. It's just 2 songs. Each one's like 18 minutes long, but it's super heavy. Gentry's in another band called Eagle Twin, and it's super heavy like Eagle Twin, but it still has sort of like that jazz influence that Iceburn used to have or has always had. I'm super into it. I've just been listening to it nonstop.
I haven't listened to it. I still need to listen to it.
Got to dig in.
So Andy Patterson, who played drums for Sub Rosa and a bunch of other bands, when we had him on, he said that Southern Lord is actually re-releasing their entire discography. Right?
Yeah. Can't wait for that.
That'll be fun. So this is the only record I have is the also on Relapse, the band that we listened to last week called Yautja, which was the first thing that I played you when we were doing that little audio check. And I highly recommend giving it a listen if you're curious about some new music. It is just a really out there record that reminds me of like a super like if Drive Like Jehu was a sludge band. Like like lots of twists and turns in the rhythm, but really crushing tones.
That's that's a good description. Yeah, Jehu is a sludge band.
Yeah, it's what it sounds like to me. And of course they have like the pretty sparkly records that everyone gets these days. Although I was cracking up, somebody was doing a release, big band, like major band, and they have their super limited $200 package that includes a very rare test press. I'm not sure if you've ever been involved in the process of pressing records,
no.
But when you place your final order, they go, "Hey, do you want to get some extra test presses?" And you go, "Sure." And then they go, "Great, as many as you want, $5 a piece." And so the super rare, highly limited test press is probably a $5 record that doesn't even come with the fucking cover or anything. It's usually just in a white sleeve with a little handwritten label.
Oh yeah,
on it.
I mean I've got lots of test pressings, but
yeah, people just
don't
don't
or anything.
Yeah, well, you maybe don't broadcast what I said too loud.
Yeah, general public doesn't know how.
General public doesn't know that it's really easy to get lots of copies of test presses, and they're cheaper. If the regular record costs you $10 a piece or $12 a piece, and the test press is $5, but you sell it for $80. That's how you
still get a lot less of them though.
Usually,
I mean, it's not like you'd order 500 test presses.
You could. I mean, honestly, that's what bands do is they order like 50 of them and then throw them up on Bandcamp 2 at a time.
Yeah.
So it always looks like they're about to go out of stock. And so someone's like, "Oh yeah, just snag that last test press.
Better get that test press."
And then they don't check back to see that there are 2 more immediately loaded up once that one's gone.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so we got 2 more songs.
We got 2 more bands. You got time for 2 more songs, Mark?
I'm ready for these 2 songs. Yeah.
All right,
yeah, let's do
it. So
this is a
next?
band that we've been trying to listen to. They've been on our list probably 3 other times, but they're always at the bottom, so somehow we skip them. It's Pupil Slicer.
Ugh.
Which just hurts. Ugh.
So I had a teacher in high school, an English teacher, who like had this very specific fear about eyeballs being cut.
Oh God.
And it came from when he was in college. There's a famous old movie, I guess if you study film, you probably know what I'm talking about, where it like cuts back and forth between a shot of the moon with something cutting across it to a shot of an eyeball and a razor blade.
I have no idea
And
what
like
you're-
the razor blade
like
gets
that.
closer and closer and it keeps cutting back and forth. And then eventually the razor blade cuts the eyeball
God, no.
open.
Oh.
It's like a cow eye or something. It's not real.
Still,
but
I don't want to see any
like
eyes.
it ruined him for life. So then all through high school, because he was my homeroom teacher, it was like hide a picture of like you just hide eyeballs, like sneak in early in class and slide into his like notepad a little drawing of an eyeball or a photograph, and he'd flip out.
Oh man. Oh man.
It was fun.
This looks like there's something about this. I don't know why, but there's something about this that, and being from the UK, I don't know. Just the aesthetic sort of evokes like a fudge tunnel or like a nail bomb esque vibe. But I guess we'll see what it sounds like.
Let's see what song do they want us to play. Wounds Upon My Skin.
Great question. Let me look. Yes, Wounds Upon My Skin.
All right, let's hear it. That's badass.
There's a lot of influences in
Wow.
there. God damn. I'm glad it finally reached, like at the beginning, I was like, oh, this is going to be the whole thing. I don't know if I can do all of these snares. That was just very snare heavy. But when it actually got going and it sort of got into a little bit of a groove, well, I don't know if you would say groove, but something that I could actually sort of like
stayed in one time
stayed in
signature,
one time signature
for more than 10
I
seconds.
like that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
very interesting.
great, and not surprising actually to see that they're on prosthetic.
Oh, are they prosthetic?
Yeah, they're on a real label. I don't know if that's a nice thing to say, but they're on a bigger label for underground music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck. So what did I say? If Drive Like Jehu was a sludge band,
For Yautja?
yeah, they're gonna fight for that title. Well, this person's little write-up on Bandcamp. One of the best mathcore albums I've heard in a long time. There's a fair amount of genre fluidity going on. I found myself getting blindsided every 20 seconds or so.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. I like that.
Every 20 seconds, it kind of switches itself up. Yeah.
I like surprise in music like that.
Where are they from?
They are from London.
UK.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow. I would think they would be from Spain or something, but yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Right. Wow. That was crazy. I like that.
I know. I want to listen to the rest.
I will definitely listen to it on YouTube.
Yeah. Somewhere where it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Better audio. They have a video up here. Let's take a look at what the video looks like. There we go. I'm curious to see who does what.
That's yeah.
that's badass.
These guys need to come over here and tour with Pound.
With Pound. Oh fuck yeah! So that's a 3-piece. If you're listening, I don't know what kind of trickery they pulled in the studio, but by the looks of that video, they're a 3. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that there aren't a ton of overdubs in that. I don't hear a lot. It sounds pretty live to me. The recording. It says
Katie, Josh, and Luke. There's 3 of them. Wow. That's really cool. I'm gonna dig into that. I'm gonna hit follow right now.
Are you? All right. Yeah. Follow. All right, we got one more.
Way to go, Pupil Slicer. I think your name very well describes your music.
It makes me uncomfortable, but
they're the winners so far.
Yeah, I think so too. That's my favorite of everything that we've listened to so far.
I liked that.
All right, the last band is called Som, S-O-M. Somtheband.bandcamp.com. Do we know where these people are from?
I don't know. Does it say? Doesn't say.
No, I'm gonna go Europe though. The beardiness and
the beardiness,
like Italy.
Oh, I think they are Italian actually.
Yes,
I think they are Italian. Yeah,
looks like 5 fine Italian gentlemen.
Yeah, I've been finding some good. There's been some good stuff coming out of Italy.
Yeah, well. To like longtime Doom fans, to the great excitement after they announced they're calling it quit like a year ago, Euphomamit's back.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
They got a new drummer. I guess they parted ways with their original drummer, but they found somebody else to play drums. I love that band. So
it's interesting. This looks a lot like, just the aesthetic. It looks a lot like that Super Void
band
that we reviewed that were also Italian.
Huh.
I mean, just kind of looking at it was sort of sparse. The cover looks similar.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you like trip over a scene and they share the artists and designers, and so that there's kind of a cohesive look to the whole thing, whether it's regional or genre or whatever. It's always fun when there's like, who doesn't love looking back at all of those, old 70s records, like Yes, and then all the other bands that guy did art for.
Yeah,
that you can kind of create this umbrella picture of a period in time where a bunch of bands were kind of on the same page with art and sound and kind of working together as a scene. I always think that's fun. All right, so this song is called Awake Sedate.
I like it.
Yeah, it's not
that's something I would listen to while I was working. That's good background music for me.
It sounds like it was a quarantine project. Music written and performed, recorded remotely during quarantine. So we've had a lot of this come through.
Oh, interesting.
People sort of remote recording and assembling music. Were you ever? I'm going to guess the answer is no. But were you guys ever tempted to try and record anything as individuals, or stitch anything together during the break, or did you just sort of say, we'll pick it back up when things are back to normal-ish?
Yeah, no, I wasn't interested in doing anything.
Yeah.
I was enjoying the break.
Really?
I like this kind of chill wave, sort of 80s ethereal quality of
Yeah, I'm curious to see where else it goes. I mean,
Yeah.
we only listened to the first minute and 17 seconds. I'm sure it does go elsewhere.
Let's check it out.
We can listen to a little bit more. Yeah,
Let's skip forward to the middle and see where it goes. I don't know if it's going to go much else. I think it's sort of this. I really like that this shoegaze stuff is coming back, but it's heavier.
Yeah.
I'm super into it.
All right. Good.
Yeah, I like it. Looks like the album before this was 2018. I mean, they've got a remix on here that was remixed by Holy Fawn, and Holy Fawn is I mean, that's like it's a decent sized. So it's not like this is just some side project.
These guys are on Pelagic, which is another kind of like, small to mid-sized label, but with distribution and, like an actual label, not a...
It's weird, though, because it says it was recorded in Connecticut. Doesn't it say something about Connecticut?
Mixed in Connecticut.
Oh, mixed in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mixed wherever your mixer is.
It's mixed wherever your mixer is. Nice. I really like that. I'm gonna dig into that for sure. That's totally my jam. I've been doing so much of that awesome heavy shoegaze lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we listened to Nothing. Even the new Deaf Heaven song. I don't know if you've listened to Deaf Heaven very much, but they blew the world up.
Yeah, they did.
Apparently everyone thought that they were
did.
an actual black metal band, which they definitely never have been. And then they put out the first single from their new record. They were nominated for a Grammy the same year as High on Fire. So they lost that to High on Fire, but then they come out with this new song, and it's like straight up shoegaze with clean vocals, and the metal community exploded on them because that's not allowed apparently.
Yeah, you can't change your sound. That's not allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get to experiment as musicians.
So are you guys getting back into it at all? What's the future for Zeke?
Man, I don't know. It's like there was stuff that was that we were writing that was like a lot closer to Death Alley right before this whole COVID thing hit, and then so we had a bunch of fast tunes, and then we had the whole 10 songs from the previous record that didn't get released or even recorded.
Yeah, Thunder in the Ozarks, right?
Yeah, there's tons
I
of
love
stuff.
That.
There's tons of stuff, and it's all doable. And I'm just swamped with stuff, so it's hard for me to get back to it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like you've been doing a lot. I've seen your name pop up a lot on like side projects for people. Like you've been doing a lot of guest spots on other people's albums. It seems like
that's about all I've got time for, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I work like 6/10s, and it's kind of a weird thing, because the last 3 Zeke tours, I was kind of like, well, I really could I guess I could just go back to doing this, and really not have to fucking bust my ass and kill myself to but it's like playing rock and roll and trying to do that for a living is has its own setbacks, not necessarily financially, but really just like it's like eventually you have to pay taxes, and you're responsible for your own stuff, and so you have to figure that out. And then like like you're so much like if you're I don't personally, I work construction, so I go to work, I do my stuff, and then I come home, and I don't know any of these people. I don't care about them. I don't have to see them. I don't have to talk to them. But when you're in a band, man, you are subject to everybody's ideals. You're subject to everybody's personal life. You're subject to everybody's whim some of the time, So it's for me, I don't like that.
It's like having a second family, You know, if you're doing it right, if you're doing a band,
the most dysfunctional family.
Unless you're Rush, in which case, you just play together for 40 years and then stop.
Right. So, you know, it's like, I guess it's, you know, like my band has always been up in the air, man. You know, it's like, I don't, we've had a few runs of like, you know, several years or even up to a decade of we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Of where it was just like, okay, we're doing this, you know, but you know, somebody always gets sick of it. Somebody always gets pissed off. There's always like there's a lot of personal issues in my band. So I can't really say what we're going to be doing or when we're going to be doing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're probably at the point now though, where you could, you know, do your daily life and then take like, you must get festival offers, one-offs, fly-ins, kind of to scratch the itch, you know, to kind of.
We just got a couple. Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't take.
No. So you don't have anything lined up. You don't have any shows booked.
No. I don't have anything lined up, man.
Yeah, it was funny. We've been watching. So like, High on Fire played their first show in Texas, and the big shocker to the music world was when they showed up with Cody from Big Business playing drums.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
it's not a shocker, man. It's not really a shocker.
No, it's not, because Dez is gone, but everyone thought Chris Maggio was going to be the guy. Even though they didn't really say that. It sounded like that was what was going to happen. So when they showed up with a picture with Cody, I personally was just like, fuck
yes.
Yeah. Just because like the fan in me wants to hear that, because I know Cody and I know them.
Game, man.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he is. I remember we were, I think it was like 2004, and I decided that, you know, I wanted to take those guys to Europe with us, and you know, I didn't know if they would say yes, because it seemed like that, you know, like every time I talked to them, they were kind of, you know, they're younger than me, and you know, I don't think they thought much of Zeke, you know, or whatever. They're kind of on their own thing. But I just decided I'm going to ask them, you know, do you guys want to go to Europe? And they're, oh yeah, fuck yeah. So. And then we wound up, you know, a lot of us had a lot in common. So it was a fun tour. And, but I never really hung out with Cody, you know, cause he was kind of quiet or whatever. And, one day he like came up to me and was like, hey man, we never hang out. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of an introvert. I don't really talk to people that much. And he's like, yo, well, tonight we're hanging out. We're going to drink. We're going to hang out. And I was like, okay, whatever, man. So we were in, I think we were in Amsterdam, and we're like drinking and hanging out, and he goes, hey man, can I share something with you? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, and he said, he's like, man, do you have any things that you really want to do? And I was like, no, not really. And he's like, well, man, I've got this dream, man. I want to play with the Melvins, and I want to play all of Dale's drum parts. I was like, wait a minute, man. Did you just tell me that you want to play drums in the Melvins, but you want to play all of Dale's drum parts? I'm like, okay, bro, that is probably never going to happen.
Well, and you're sort of right.
Well, no, didn't he just do exactly that? Like,
it did, except they built that crazy shared drum kit. So they would like go back. They would go back and he would play some parts of his own a little bit, but we had a similar experience with him. Like he's very professional on the surface. Now he's much older now, obviously, and has a lot more touring years under his belt. Mm-hmm. But I bet you the kernel of the same guy was there. But they played at Psycho, and there was some fucking kerfuffle with the stage manager at the pool stage. And Cody and Jared were just like, "This is fucking stupid. We're not playing. Like, get your shit together. Stop yelling at me. We're out of here." And eventually the festival backed him up and put him on a spot later in the night. But we were going to dinner, and he was just like at the sushi bar at the Japanese restaurant, just all by himself, having a super chill meal, like just didn't seem bothered.
Not even bothered.
Didn't care at all. So then we booked them, I don't know, about a year and a half ago at the Ritz, and they played, and we started talking to him, and it was exactly that. Like he, all of a sudden he was just like, blah, blah, like for an hour or whatever, half hour, 45 minutes, just telling us the full Psycho story, all animated and super friendly. And I was like, oh, all right. So that guy's in there. He's just under the surface a little bit. But yeah, he was cool. He was cool as hell. And I really wished I saw his kit for the High on Fire show. I really wish the bells were there somewhere. I wanted to see how he was going to work those fucking bells. Work the bells into a
High on Fire song.
I don't know if that would fly, but it would be fun. But no, the point with that was like, you know, High on Fire for so long was, you know, Jeff and Matt and Dez. And Dez to the fans is such an integral part of the sound. He's a really unique drummer. But what about this notion of High on Fire with a rotating drum chair where you kind of get to hear like all of these different versions of what it could be with different, you know, they're established to the point where they could pull that off. And then, you know, show by show, it's less about the personalities. You know, Cody, you know, he's going to fly in and do a fucking job like a professional. I'd be curious to see if you could work out a deal like that for Zeke, where it's like, it's you. And then there's just people who show up and play the shows, and you don't have to deal with the bullshit of the band and the relationships and stuff, and just keep it on a more, you know, like on a more professional level. I don't even know if that's even appealing, but I do hope that they keep kind of changing that chair around, because there's a whole bunch of drummers I'd love to see play for that band.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sure. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see 2 or 3 albums with Cody, to be honest with you.
Oh, it'd be great.
Oh my God.
Come on now.
Seriously.
Well, and I think the world is seeing now what a big part of the songwriting process Jeff is, and I think that's changed.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Especially
changed,
now.
Especially now, that's changed the songs a lot. Like to also bring a different energy, because not like Matt keeps doing the same thing over and over again, but I think everybody knows what to expect from him and from his guitar playing at this point. Not that he's peaked, but it's like he fucking put his stamp on guitar. And you know what his
sound.
Yeah, you know what his part's gonna sound like. Curious to hear it. Definitely would be curious to. I haven't said even a fucking a small tour or just one show with Dale Crover playing drums.
That would be crazy.
I would love to hear and see. I think that'd be really fun too. But you know who knows what will happen.
I didn't even know. Yeah, Jeff's a fucking genius, man. I didn't even know that he played guitar until. You know, like I mean, I'm not. Don't get me wrong, you know, I love High on Fire, you know, and you know, I go see them, you know, all the time, and you know, their early stuff is, you know, some of my favorite music or whatever. But you know, I don't know. Like I just told you, I listen to a lot of country music. I listen to a lot of stuff. I don't know, man. But when Jeff asked me to do the you know, Malice of Thieves thing, you know, and then we started doing the Thin Lizzy tune, and Jeff was like, what about we, you know, and I was like, dude, I didn't know if you were working at the harmony. I'm like, dude, I didn't even know you play guitar. And he's like, oh yeah, you know. I'm like, this is really weird. And then he started like playing some lead, and you know, like I had no knowledge. I didn't, you know, like sometimes, you know, bass players play guitar or whatever, you know, not as good as he was. And then he started busting out all these leads, and it's like some brand new style of lead playing that I've never even heard before. I was like, man, what in the fuck? You sound like a mixture of like Robert Fripp and Tony Iommi. It's crazy. and he's like, oh yeah, you know, just kind of messing around. I'm like, oh no, man, we're going to be fucking trade lead. We're going to trade leads on the Thin Lizzy team for sure, man. And yeah, so you know, it's like he's so talented, man.
Is that how it came out?
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people know that Jeff plays some of those leads. I think the general assumption is that you're playing all the leads. I can hear the 2 voices for sure.
I'm playing all the kind of John Sykes, Van Halen stuff, and he's doing the like kind of more Tony Iommi, Dave Murray sounding stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to that, folks, gloriadeathrecords.bandcamp.com. Go to the Thin Lizzy Tribute and take a listen. The song that Mark played on is Jeff Matz playing bass and guitar. Steve Hanford, like we just talked about, on drums, and Mike Scheidt singing. And we talked about this a little bit.
Does Mike only sing? He doesn't do guitar on that
one?
one?
All he does is sing on that one, yeah. And as we talked about in that session where they recorded that song, you guys recorded some other original stuff that Jeff wrote that never saw the light of day, but I've heard, and you've obviously heard, that's really fantastic. Wow. So someday, hopefully, that will enter the world and be available for everybody to listen to.
Yeah. So it's whenever Jeff told me that he was writing some of the songs on the new High on Fire stuff, I was like, all right, man, cool.
Good on you.
Yeah.
It's always, just a news, every time, I think I got you figured out, you just turn the corner on me, you're doing something else. But yeah.
Yeah, when he's such a wizard too, because it's not just like he knows theory, he knows how to play like guitar and bass, and now he's playing that baglama, the like Turkish instrument. And then like he started a company building bass cabinets. I went up and checked out one of those, and while I'm in the studio looking at his bass cabinet, he gets a call because he's the tech for Sleep. So they were at Sharkbite recording the sciences, and they called him because they needed somebody to do setups on guitars and basses. And it's like, fuck, man, how many hats does one guy have to wear in a band in order to earn his keep? Apparently, Jeff's got enough hats to stick around.
Seriously.
Yeah,
that's what it takes these days.
He probably gets it. He gets that from his dad, actually. But yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, his dad's like a construction contractor, gunsmith, bass player, fucking all kinds of different shit.
Oh, that
nice.
makes sense. I did not know that, but that absolutely makes sense that there's got to be some influence out there that's like like combining all of these different
that work ethic,
art forms and trades and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
So we can wrap up. We talked a little bit about growing up musically in Arkansas. Do you have any like all-time favorite Arkansas bands? Were there any local bands or even non-local, more famous bands or musicians that you were into from your hometown, from Fayetteville? Or
no, man. I mean, there really wasn't anything for me there. That's why I had to get out of there as quick as I could.
Yeah.
I grew up around a lot of like AM country and bluegrass music and then, like I said, all the rock and roll that I was exposed to was pretty, I had a really limited exposure.
I wonder if that's, I wonder if there's something to that, like the country thing. I don't know, because that was me as well. Like my first taste of music was cruising around in my dad's pickup truck with an 8-track and a bunch of just country 8-tracks, and a lot of it was like that outlaw country. And then I jumped from there to like the metal and then punk, and I went hard down the punk hardcore thing, which is like almost the exact opposite, and so like I wonder if there's
structure wise though, country and punk aren't that far off, right? Like song structures are pretty simplistic.
You can definitely hear, I think you can probably definitely hear it in some Zeke stuff, Run and Shine, and where there's a little bit of a bluegrass influence in there somewhere.
Yeah.
What about your current home? Any favorites from up there, from the Seattle area?
How'd you was it Seattle always, or did you leave Arkansas and go somewhere else first?
Sounded like it was LA, right?
Well, I left Arkansas. I moved to Los Angeles. And I was trying to get something started there. That's when I met that chick I was telling you about. That,
gotcha.
Her music, and she and I moved to San Francisco so that I could go play in a band with her friends called Mock Turtle. It was kind of like this heavy psych band. I was pretty young, and we were really messed up on drugs, and so we thought that we could get away from drugs by moving to Seattle.
Yeah, there's no drugs in Seattle.
Ah.
Yeah, exactly. So we moved up here because they had friends in Anacortes, which is where the singer was from. So we went up there and stayed with their parents for a little while, and then moved down to Seattle, and started working at a club, and then immediately fell right back into the same, behavior. And I don't know, I wound up playing in a Ramones cover band called the Felchtone, and for a little while, and then I showed those guys some of these songs that were Zeke songs, and they told me that was stupid, and I should don't show those songs to anybody because what I was told was this is Seattle, we don't go for that here. There's only one Motorhead. The sooner you figure that out, the better off you'll be. Okay. And
all right.
But and then Donnie joined Mock Turtle, the band that I, from San Francisco, and he got into a fight with the bass player one night. It was a girl, and it was bad. And equipment got knocked out of the truck. This and that, the other thing happened. Then Donnie said, I'm not playing with you guys anymore. I'd already showed Donnie a couple of the Zeke songs, and he kind of told me the same thing. He's like, I don't know if that's going to fly. But he called me up that night, and he was like, hey, I'm willing to do those songs now. And so that's kind of really how Zeke got started. And that's how I wound up in Seattle. I've been here ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably changed a lot in the time. I mean, the times that I've been coming to Seattle, it's changed. It's unbelievable how much it's changed. Maybe even more transformed than the Bay Area over the tech boom, but certainly
definitely
very transformed.
Oh yeah,
it was just coming out of being kind of logging community, fishing / logging community. Whenever I moved up here, it was still pretty much that. There's still people running around with flannel shirts on because their parents worked in those trades all their lives, and there was just a bunch of old alcoholic loggers still in the taverns at nighttime, hanging out, before we got in there to start drinking and chase them out with our music or whatever. But it's not that way anymore. Now it's just tech guys and money.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think it's one of the most interesting metropolises in this country because it's like so geographic. Like you just wouldn't expect so much development in such a challenging geography. All the water that cuts through and all the hills and shit. It's like San Francisco times 10 because it's so fucking massive. And there's no space now between what used to be Seattle and kind of the outskirts of Seattle, especially with all the money Microsoft put into Redmond and everything that popped up around there. It's like one continuous city that runs. I mean, we drove all the way to Bellingham. We drove all the way to Bellingham from Seattle. And to me, it didn't feel like Seattle ended until like an hour and a half outside of the center of Seattle. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's real. It's real.
Yeah.
So I would say Convictions. Convictions are probably my pick for Seattle area bands that are it's kind of like cutting edge and actually has like a powerful approach.
Yeah.
I
haven't either.
Them.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Like, if the town can pull its shit together enough to figure out how to support the arts and artists, so that there isn't an even bigger exodus like the one we've already seen from San Francisco to Oakland, and then it went. Then everybody in Oakland is now in Portland, and probably starting to get priced out of Portland and Seattle too, and moving to other places. But I mean, there's such a rich history in Seattle. I hope they can figure out a way to. I mean, shit, you got a music museum. Somebody there gives a shit about music and music history in Seattle. So hopefully they figure out a way to do, grants or somehow support the artists so that they can actually stick around. Because, San Francisco is a great example of how barren a town can become if you run all the artists out because they can't afford to live there anymore.
Oh yeah, man. It's all about music and art.
Yeah.
Should be,
isn't it? Yeah, I get so jealous every time we have a band on or somebody from a band on from Sweden or somewhere else where they're just like, oh yeah, and they pay for us to take music lessons and they pay for our instruments.
They pay for our tour.
They pay for assholes. That's not fair. How can we compete against Sweden? It's not even fucking possible.
Well, they even have that in Canada.
There's 5 million people in Sweden. We can't figure out how to produce more good bands.
Support the arts. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate you taking a couple hours out of your afternoon to chat with us.
Yes.
Look forward to whatever Zeke has coming in the future. And if you guys are out playing shows again and down here in the Bay Area, you'll probably definitely see our faces.
All right.
Exactly. Yeah. Great chatting with you.
Congrats on growing a daughter that graduated from high school.
Hey,
people who haven't done it. What?
Same to both of y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. People who haven't done it before.
It's not an easy job.
Don't recognize how challenging it can be. So hats off to anyone who pulls it off.
Yeah, exactly.
And can even take one photo where it looks like their kid actually likes them.
Yeah.
which is the hardest thing to pull off.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, you have a great rest of your day, man. Thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you so much. Have a good one. Take
All
care.
Yeah.
Woo!
All right.
Another one in the books.
Another one in the can, and I have an instant boner. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Instant boner.
They were called instant boner.
Instant boner,
That is-
everyone.
I mean, tell me it's just a translation thing.
I don't know. Wait.
For
Here we
real,
go.
man.
Instant boner
Translate to Greek.
Greek
No.
translation. Google, don't fail me now.
Oh, we can't read that.
Well, interesting.
Stigmaya?
Stigmaya apatochia.
Apatochia?
But in a different.
Apatochia?
Oh, let's hear it. You ready?
Oh,
Come on. We got to turn up the volume.
yeah. Turn up the volume. Try it again.
Στιγμιαία αποτυχία.
One more time.
Okay.
Wait. In English
Instant boner.
Oh.
and Greek.
Στιγμιαία αποτυχία.
Definitely cooler in Greek.
Much cooler in Greek.
Instant boner.
Oh shit.
Oh, you know that's going to become a sting.
No. Soundboard with one button.
Yep. Instant boner.
Boner.
That is now what that's going to be the albums that we just love. That's
Yeah.
going to be the albums that we go buy afterwards.
Instant bone. I like the cadence on that. Instant boner.
That's too good. That's too good. And that is actually something I don't know. I've started because we buy a lot of the albums that I wouldn't say a lot of the albums.
We buy
There are albums that we buy from bands that we discover on this show. You should too.
Yes.
I've been posting some of them to our Instagram, some of the ones that I really like. You can do the same.
Yeah.
Usually we like the same ones.
Usually we like the same ones.
Dig into our Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah. Subscribe, like.
Like,
we need, especially on YouTube, where it's like there's a lot of activity, but we just need to get the base subscribers up because I think we can hit
we'll get there.
I think we can hit the listen hours without too much trouble. So
I'm going to get all caught up on our editing this week.
Ooh.
That is one of my things on my to-do list.
more videos.
Yes, more videos.
All right. Well, we're going to try something a little bit different
Ooh,
today.
what are we going to do?
This has been another episode of
Blynd Submyshynz.
Thank you very much, the one and only
Thank you very much.
Pete Holland from Elephant Tree for submitting that lovely little stinger for us.
Yes, thank you, Pete.
But again, this has been another
episode
of
Blynd Submyshynz.
You're brave, man. I'm trying that. Blynd Submyshynz. I'll do the low harmony.
Okay.
No, I won't. That would imply
That kind of sounded like a Muppet.
that would imply some ability to hear a harmony in my head and then produce the right notes on command. Not in my wheelhouse.
Not in your
Anyways,
wheelhouse.
thanks again for joining us for another
Thank you,
episode
everybody.
of
Are we going to do it 4 times today?
Blynd Submyshynz.
We Out, We Out.
Thanks for joining us for another week of Blynd Submyshynz. See episode description for links to all artists discussed in this episode, and visit their sites to support them directly by buying music and merch. Share links to the podcast or YouTube videos with your friends, especially if they're in bands. Bands, if you want us to listen to your music on a future episode, please submit one song to blyndsub@gmail.com. That is blyndsub, BLYNDSUB @gmail.com. Bandcamp links preferred, but not required. Find us on social media at Blynd Submyshynz. Full video episodes are available on our YouTube. Remember, we go in blind, so you don't have to. Blynd Submyshynz.